Dear friends, Professor Babu and all the friends who have come this afternoon to interact. I am just coming after the first Festival of Innovation was celebrated in our country at Rashtrapati Bhavan from March 7th to 13th. And I must therefore say a few words about that, because that epitomizes the importance that our country attaches to the agenda that we will discuss today, and how it is critical therefore for every scholar, every student, every stakeholder to join hands. For last three presidents have recognized the merit of grassroots innovation by common people, and our presidents have been giving awards to the common people every 2 years. Dr. Kalam gives award every year to children under Ignite Award at IMA. So there was some recognition, but this year when our President Shri Pranab Mukherjee decided to have Festival of Innovation, it acquired a new attention, a new visibility, a new focus, and several things happened. For instance, there were awards for grassroots innovators by President. There were awards to technology students on 8th of March, Ghanaian Young Technological Innovation Award, undergraduate students, postgraduate students who have done something creative, something innovative, either in terms of MLM, more from less for many, that means frugality, or social impact, or technological edge, something for the first time somebody has done. And then there were awards, interactions with the National Innovation Club. On 10th we had the annual meeting of first meeting of the National Innovation Club. 100 and odd students and faculty guides had come, and I will speak a little bit about that club, because Hyderabad, Central University Hyderabad, which has been adjudged as one of the best university of the country, and I had the opportunity to be in that committee, which had a huge task of screening all the universities. I must say that having achieved that excellence, Central University Hyderabad has a special responsibility in the country to foster innovation ecosystem. You cannot escape that responsibility, and therefore when I raise my expectations today from the entire community here, please understand from where I am coming. I am arguing that excellence begets excellence. So if you have achieved excellence, it becomes a responsibility, professional, moral, cultural, social, of this university to foster similar excellence in other universities. We had medical and biotechnological innovations on 11th, 12th we had sanitation technologies, 13th, which was the last day when President came back to conclude the festival, we had financing of innovation roundtable. On 7th and 8th also we had a roundtable on inclusive innovation, where we had outstanding scholars from Berkeley, from MIT, from Canada Innovation Foundation, from Korea, Japan, all over the world. So what I am trying to say is that this country is beginning to recognize that we need to learn and share our model, and I will share some of these models today. I must also add that the innovation ecosystem that we are trying to build actually exists. Even in Hyderabad city it exists. It's just that the pieces are little scattered, and as you were saying, they need to be brought together. They need to be interlinked. Kavita is here from IIITH. There are colleagues from other institutions, other labs. You were saying there are 90 labs in Hyderabad city itself. Now obviously these 90 labs have enormous intellectual power, and if only this could be synergized, then great breakthroughs can come. So what is frugal innovation? When mission on Mars costed about 80 million dollars, as against any other country which did not spend less than $1 billion, that was frugal. So frugality is not about poor. Frugality needs to be in everybody, in every walk of life, in everything that we do, so that our resources can go farther. We can get more out of less for many. That is the whole argument of frugality. So I don't want to give the impression that frugal innovations are only what is meant for poor, for rich, for better off, middle class. We can have innovations which are resource wasting. No, we can't do that. And how do we recognize the gap which exists in academia, specifically for academic community? I have argued and that I organize a small informal course in my institute in the evening when anybody can come. It's an open course, no registration required. Students or their parents can come, children can come, a shopkeeper can come, anybody can come in this course, and I have done it for 3 years. Ways of knowing, feeling and doing. We know so much, we feel about this much, and we actually do something about only this much. The reality is that if we know something and don't feel about it, we know less. If we know something and feel about it and don't do anything, we know even less. So therefore, knowing, feeling and doing have a strong integral synergy which we need to bring in. Academia is known for producing knowledge, but it should also be known for creating feelings among those who acquire this knowledge. To give an example, and I was saying this in Gokul Institute where I was there 2 days back in Pune. Many students here must have collected data from the people outside the university campus, from villagers, from farmers, from mechanics or anybody for that matter. How many times have we shared our findings back with the people from whom we collected data? Does this sound right? Should we not share? And if we share, they will understand why we were collecting data, because they will get the big picture. My argument is then they will offer something more which we didn't know before. So not just on ethical ground, even on efficiency ground, it is better that we share our findings with the people from whom we collect data. I hope that Central University Hyderabad will be one of the first in the country to have a policy, inviolable policy, that any student of this university who collects data from the society at large must share its findings in an intelligible manner, in a comprehensible manner. If you share all your equations, people may not understand them. So you have to interpret them and bring it to the level that people understand. Then you will realize that a new data will flow which would not have come without sharing that knowledge. In Honeybee Network, that is one of the concern we had, that we have been taking knowledge from people for ages, never shared back anything with them. So how do we do that? So what are the drivers of frugality? Frugality is about affordability. Can I buy and maintain it? That is one obvious indicator of frugality. Circularity. Many of you must have read about life cycle analysis. How many of you know about circular economy? Anybody here who has read about circular economy apart from Kavita, of course? Circular economy implies, in life cycle analysis, we talk about cradle to grave. Grave means a junk. Junk means a landfill. That means we recognize production of waste as a necessary part of manufacturing, necessary part of economic development. In circular economy, there is no waste. Waste is defined as a product for which use has not yet been found. In industrial ecology, there is nothing like waste. It is an ecological system. In Sweden, only 1% waste goes to landfill. Only 1%. In our country, almost everything. Do we have so much of land to fill? What happens when we do the landfill, or a lower drainage channel or a depression is filled up with the waste? That depression was actually a drainage channel. Somewhere water was flowing, going to the lake. Lakes are lungs of the city or any habitat. You choke the lungs, city will die. That's what we have been doing systematically in this country, filling up all water bodies, all lower lying bodies, leveling them. So please appreciate that circular economy talks about cradle to cradle, so that there is no production of waste. Every manufacturing system, every chemical reaction, every physical reaction must recognize affordability is about how ability to purchase, buy and so on. Circularity is about its environmental sustainability. So 1 rupee sachet is extremely affordable. It is sustainable because the plastic pieces that you throw around the country, the cost of collecting them has never been factored in the price of that piece, that 1 rupee sachet. Therefore, we call it affordable, but it is not sustainable. We don't want such solutions in our country. No student should ever design a product or service where the footprint on the environment is so large that it turns out that the future generation or even the current generation, younger children, will have to bear with that. So it is not enough to have frugality, we should have circularity. But it is not enough to have circularity either, we should have accessibility. Let us say there is a simple diagnostic test which I have to do, and the primary health center is very far or is not accessible to me either in terms of distance or transport, then it does not help. But let us say I have accessibility but I do not have availability of the drug. I go to dispensary and there is nothing there. Either doctor is not there, patient is not there, not enough. So I have frugality, I have circularity, I have accessibility, but I do not have availability. Will it work? It will not work. But if I have availability but I can't adapt to my need, then also it will not work. So these are the drivers which will determine whether or not a solution which is frugal also is sustainable, is also accessible, is also available, is also adaptable. These are the 5 drivers which are very important for any study, any field of knowledge that we want to work in, where we want to develop frugal solutions. Having done that, how do we create a mind which will look for frugality? There is a beautiful word in our culture which is called samvedana. Leave it, doesn't matter. I am sure all of you know about word samvedana. Sam means equal, vedana means pain. When I experience pain of someone else as intensely as that person feels it, then it doesn't remain that person's pain, it becomes my pain. Correct? And when I am trying to solve that pain, I am trying to solve my pain. Swanta hai sukha hai. I am not doing favor to somebody else. I am trying to come to terms with myself. I am trying to get peace with myself, because now I am troubled. Pain is in me. Now there is no word in English language which actually captures samvedana properly, because samvedana is not for someone else. Samvedana is within. Empathy is for someone else. Compassion is for someone else. So there is no direct correspondence. For want of a better word, we may call it empathy for the time being. Samvedana se srajanshilta. When innovation or creativity is born out of samvedana, that to me is the kind of innovation that we need in our society. Innovations which are born out of samvedana, where swanta hai sukha hai, for reducing my pain I am doing it, for one's own happiness I am doing it. I am not doing any favor to anybody. Let us not think of as a chivalrous feeling that I am doing some great job by helping other people. No, I am trying to come to terms with my own disturbance, my own uneasiness. So when we do this, one of the questions that arises in the mind is that how do we open the mind of formal institutions like labs, companies, organizations, public bureaucracies? How do we open our mind? What are the mechanisms so that the innovations that are there in society become accessible to us? We can recognize them. So there is a simple matrix that I use. One side you have inside out, high and low. On the other side you have outside in, high and low. So take the case, first cell is, or last cell is, when outside in is low, inside out is low. That means I don't share my knowledge with anybody yet. The inside out is low. I don't want to learn from anybody else. Outside in is low. That is an ostrich like behavior. There are many scholars who live in that cocoon, right? They don't share, they don't learn from others. Many of us have that kind of attitude. Knowledge will not grow there. You can be very good in something, but you may believe that you are very good. Nobody except you recognizes you as somebody very good. So you can remain in a fool's paradise. You have inside out very low, but outside in very high. You are like a sponge. You don't share, but you want to collect. So a lot of crowdsourcing sites are actually outside in. You can share knowledge from outside in, but you don't share. So Procter & Gamble, many other companies have systems of incentive to seek ideas from outside. Then you have inside out very high, but outside in very low, pollinators. So Tesla, some of you might know, an electric car company, opened all its patents. Are you aware? It opened all its patent. They just opened it. Anybody can use them. They had invested a lot of R&D money in creating those patents. Toyota, which is a very famous company, car manufacturing company, it also opened its patent in the electrical car, looking at Tesla. Why are they doing it? Because they realized that if they want charging stations at every 100 miles or 200 miles, and if people have to shift to the electric cars or hybrid cars, then it should be possible for people to have this station. Nobody will set up charging station for one company. So to create an ecosystem. Can you imagine now what am I doing? I am sharing my knowledge so that more people can use it and compete with me. But if they compete with me, it will push me to be better. I will become more innovative. I will become more creative. And that's a good feeling. That's a feeling that we must encourage. Then there is a fourth cell, which is inside out is high, outside in is high. That to me is the most favorite. That is what Honeybee Network tried to do. It tried to seek knowledge and disseminate knowledge. On our website, if you go sashi.org, more than 12,000 examples, about half of them in 4 languages, Hindi, Gujarati, English and Tamil, available for people to use anywhere in the world. Our aspiration is that India should become the largest provider of open source knowledge goods and solutions and innovations. In this age when IPR is supposed to be the currency of future, I do teach a course on IPR. I believe IPRs have a lot of merit, but I don't believe that IPRs alone have the merit. We have developed a concept of technology commons, which means people to people copying is allowed and encouraged, people to firm through licensing. Makes sense. If a farmer has developed an innovation, can't other farmer copy it? Surely he should be able to copy. Should we encourage this farmer to file a case against him? No, we don't want to do that. We don't want our society to be a litigant society. So people to people, open source, people to firm, licensing. Makes sense, works well. So we have to develop new concepts, new categories of thought, new ways of dealing with intellectual properties, so that the larger end of promoting innovations and making our society developed is served. So when I said you have both inside out high and outside in high, I use a Hindi phrase, and I am sure you will all recognize. I call that cell to be DB. Dil bada, dimag bada. Only those people can do it. Not everybody can do it. Those who have a big heart and a big mind can only share more openly and learn more openly. When I was in Gokhale Institute on 14th, I learned something very interesting. Some of you who follow my Facebook page might have noticed it. In 1908, Bal Gangadhar Tilak inspired, Gokhale mentored an enterprise funded by a fund called as Paisa Fund. Idea was that rural people should get interested in industrialization, so they collected 1 paisa from each farmer, just 1 paisa, and set up a glass factory in Talegaon, about 30 kilometers away from Pune. First crowdfunding example to my mind, 1908. When I ask you crowdfunding, you will never refer to Talegaon experiment, which essentially means that when we are talking about innovation, there is a long history of innovation. 1929, Gandhiji announced a competition. Anybody knows what was it about? And you know what he did when he announced it? How much was the award money? 7,700 pound, equivalent to 1 lakh rupee at that time. Today its value will be 10 crores. And he was such a smart man. He gave the boundary conditions for people to apply for this award. What are the boundary conditions? Weight of the device, the new machine, new spinning wheel, the count of the yarn, the repairability, the price, the affordability, the maintenance, drudgery, all of these conditions were defined. And then he said, there was a committee of 3 people, Rajgopalachari was one of them, banker was another person, and he said, if they can't reach a conclusion, then my decision will be final. That was Gandhi. No question about it. Final authority lies with me. And he said, look at his astuteness. You can file a patent on the solution that you provide anybody in the world, but if you want an award money, you should transfer the right of patent to the Khadi Prayog Samiti. So much ahead of the time, 1929. I am saying that a society which wants to be innovative and inclusive shall also be very alert about historical realities of our society. How did we experiment? How did we learn? How did we seek ideas? How do we share ideas so that one can learn and build upon them? And there is a long tradition. In 1898, there was a book written by Ganga Bhan from Mansa village in Mehsana in Gujarat called as Hunnar Mahasagar, 2080 recipes for self-employment. We talk about entrepreneurship. Gandhiji talked about Swadeshi and employment in 1920. She said in 1898. It is said that 1,000 copies of this book were sold in 3 days. We have republished this book. Sashti Innovation has published this book again in Gujarati and now also in Hindi, and we are going to publish it in English. 1898. So what Honeybee Network is doing is not new. Somebody had tried to do that in 1898. And not just in India, there is a book in US called as Fortune in Formula for Firms and Farms. I have 1943 edition, it was published in 1900. A book which compiles the learning from people everyday life that they have developed some interesting solution. So I am trying to say that the openness of mind is very important for two-way flow of knowledge between formal and informal sector, between one discipline and another, And if this flow of knowledge has to take place, then we should also remember that this will have to be guided by open innovation framework. Even if we want to have IP cannot be used to prevent people to people learning. We should never think of preventing flow of knowledge from people to people, because that will stifle the whole ecosystem, that will stifle the entire culture and culture of creativity. So, continuing with this, our president has been addressing the central universities every year. So, Professor Hari Babu has been there in the meeting 4th and 5th February. There was a meeting in Rashtrapati Bhavan, and he has been appealing to every central university to do 4 things. One, to have an exhibition of grassroots innovation. Second, to have a national innovation club. I will speak a few more words about a national innovation club. Third, that these innovators should be invited to the university and various departments should work with them. And fourth, an inspired teacher network. He also wants to talk to the inspired teachers. I don't know how many of you will agree, but I am sure there are teachers who, because they are inspired, they can inspire others, isn't it? If you are not optimistic, you cannot create hope. If you are cynical, then you will spread cynicism. And the tragedy is, today in our country and many parts of the world, the one who are most privileged, whom society has treated with great respect and given them all the privileges, are the most cynical people, isn't it? They have least faith in future. The one who have least resources are the most optimistic, because they have no choice but to be optimistic. How else will they remain sane? They will become insane otherwise. To maintain their sanity, they have to be optimistic. So, this innovation club, let me spend a little time, because that is something that I would like you all to pay attention. I was seeing a note which I got from the Vice Chancellor's office. I think Professor had given me that piece of paper. It is somewhere. And that piece of paper is very optimistic. I am very happy that it incorporates not just what the original concept of innovation club was, but a few steps ahead. So, I am very happy about this development in the Central University of Hyderabad. There are 4 functions that this club are supposed to pursue: search, spread, celebrate, and sense the unmet needs. You have to search innovations by school teacher. I will give you examples. Innovations by a mechanic, innovation by a small government functionary, innovation by a farmer, innovation by an artisan. Anybody? Spread innovation. You can take innovation from National Innovation Foundation database. Brigadier Ganesham is sitting here. He has a lot of innovations in Telugu. Palle Sojana, the magazine that he brings out, which has a lot of content, not only from Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, but also from other parts of the country and the world, which can be shared. Your own innovations in the lab, university itself. Recently I was told that there is a chip which has been manufactured, designed here, which can change the way the computational capability and the processing power has been enhanced many times over. So, even those innovations need to go to other colleges. So, depending upon to whom are you diffusing, you will decide which kind of innovation will be suitable for which kind of audience. Celebrate innovations, invite innovators to the college, invite innovation to the classroom. Gujarat Technical University did something very interesting. They appointed 16 innovators in Gujarat as adjunct faculty. So, all the affiliated colleges of Gujarat University, Gujarat Technical University, can invite these adjunct faculty for lectures on frugal innovation, pay their expenses or give them a small honorarium, and they come and teach their students, though they may not be 10th pass, but they are very proficient in their own field. They may have developed a 3-wheel tractor, motorcycle waste plowing machine, food processing machine, or whatever have you. The 4th is very critical: sensing the unmet social needs. For a long time, we have never inventorized the unmet needs of our society, be it a small entrepreneur, be it a community, be it a school, be it a public health center. We have never inventorized. Let me give you some examples of the unmet need and how they are solved, sometimes by the children actually. So, there was a little girl in Bhoru village, Mehsana district, Chaya Thakur, class 7. So, there was a in schools there is a tap, water tap, drinking water tap. It is horizontal like this. So, if it is at this height, let us say, some children who are tall can drink water from a tap here, but those who are small cannot drink water. Somebody has to raise them or somebody has to fill water. Not convenient for little kids. She was little kid, not able to reach the tap. She said, why can't we have pipe like this? One tap here, one tap here, one tap here, one tap here. Everybody can get water. Just a simple idea. For 60 years in this country, in every primary school, there was this problem of variable height, and girls are generally speaking, average height is lower than the boys, and we didn't care. And this little girl not only identified the problem, wrote on a piece of paper, made a drawing, persuaded her community and teachers to implement it in her school. I invited her as a visiting faculty in IIM Ahmedabad. She was the youngest visiting faculty ever invited in any institute of management. I told my class, here is a girl who observes a problem, abstracts it, assimilates it, finds a solution, applies it. All that she could do in a month's time. What more can I teach her? You know, we should ask her how did she do. Very poor family. Her father is a worker in a shop. They have only one cow. Mother is a farm worker. Extremely poor family economically. Only economically, not mind. Mind was not poor. Only the pocket was poor. So these are problems which are affecting children every day. There is another girl, Shalini, from Patna. This time she got an award from Rashtrapati ji in 8th biennial competition. You have seen those walkers which people use for sometime who have a balancing problem. My wife Sadhana has a problem. I had observed this problem every day. It didn't occur to me, despite all the samvedana that I have. You know, she noticed her grandfather who had this walker but could not use it on the staircase. So she said, all right, why can't we have the front leg which are adjustable? So when you climb on the stair, the front leg will be shorter, hind legs will be taller. When you come down, opposite, front legs will be taller and hind legs will be short. And I have got this fabricated. It was licensed to a company, Avira Technologies. 2 lakh rupees went to her account as a license fee. She will get royalty of 100 rupees per walker. They are going to sell about 10,000 walkers in a year. She is one of the youngest entrepreneurs of our country. Shalini from Bihar, Patna. Isn't it great? What have we done? She has identified an unmet social need, unmet need of an elderly people, but she just didn't stop at that. But I am saying I am willing to accept if some of you go out of your university, go to neighboring communities, identify a problem, but if you don't have a solution, it doesn't matter to me. So long as you can share with the entire student community, some 3,000, 5,000 students, somebody might have an idea to solve that problem. Doesn't matter the one who identified has it or not. But if you identify, somebody else may solve it. If you don't identify, it will never be solved. The inertia is so deep in our society. The best example of that is in my campus, and I am sure in your campus, when sweeping is done, it is done with a broom in hand, right? Is that right? Not a very good idea. Gandhiji kept on struggling in his life. Safai karmchari ki halat badlo, है ना, झाड़ू लगाते हैं जो. So we got two ideas. 4 girls in class 6 4 years ago gave an idea. When we move the cycle, you have a lever gear, cycle will move, broom will move like this. So you can sweep without having to do it with hand. 2 boys, Malviya brothers, this time brought a wrapper picker. Last year they got an award. Beautiful device. 2 rollers moving in opposite direction with hairs, bristles on them, lift every wrapper, every piece of paper, everything on the ground and clean this immediately. All of us have seen the debris, all of us have seen the rubbish on the road. We didn't think about it. No engineer did it. 2 children of school, class 7th and class 9th, class 11th have done it. One of them stayed in Rashtrapati Bhavan for 2 weeks as a part of Innovation Scholar in Residence. Our president has hosted for last 2 years, this year 10 scholars for 2 weeks as a guest of President of India. Can you imagine? They live as a guest of the president. They are taken around. 2 of them are students, one from IIT Delhi, IIT Madras, one from IIT Bombay. 4 are grassroots innovators, Raj Singh Daya, who developed biomass gasifier, Kamruddin, who developed a clutch and brake system for chaff cutter, Mansukh Bhai Jagani, who developed a motorcycle based plowing machine, and Mohanlal from Kerala, who developed a Z drive for fishing boats. These 10 people stayed. Priyanka, there another girl from Tamil Nadu who developed a waste bin, a smart waste bin, which can compress the waste to 1/3 of the size, so that one bin can have 3 times the quantity because of being compressed. And it has a GSM and GPS and the SMS capability. So when it is full, it sends a message to Municipal Corporation, please come and empty me, and gives the location. Smart waste bin. Priyanka, class 8th, Tamil Nadu. She stayed at Rashtrapati Bhavan for 2 weeks. What Honeybee Network can do is open these gates for students, for scholars, for grassroots level innovators, for children. That's what we can do. But beyond that, it's not in our hand, it is in your hand. So innovation clubs, if they do their task properly, in no distant future we will have an inventory of unmet needs, but we will also have inventory of grassroots innovations. It's possible. It's possible, and I wish that we do that. How many of you think, how many of you like to volunteer for this innovation club? Don't raise hand to please me, please, only if you are interested. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Not bad. 13, 14, great. 15, wonderful. You know what, these clubs, your university, you know, that has been adjudged as one of the best universities, best central university in the country. It was given an award in the same room in which Padma awards were given. You may not, some of you should know that, you know, you must have seen the photograph. Same room in which Padma Vibhushan, Bharat Ratna is given, same room of your Vice Chancellor received that award. Such a great honor, such a great honor, such a great honor. Now you have no choice but to maintain the standards higher and higher. You have to continue to excel. There is a burden of recognition, burden of excellence, you know. You have no choice but to be excellent in everything. Please try that these clubs can become a vehicle for for learning and sharing. Inside out, outside in. The best of the ideas that this university is developing should go out. Very good. I'm happy. You know what is it? In Champaran, in West Bengal, many places, people provide platform to the birds to come in. And what happens in my campus? We create a wall here so that birds don't come here. You know, I'm sure in your campus also you might be putting spikes on the top of the air conditioner so that birds don't nest here. But our culture says, please invite the birds. Every day at my home, in the morning I have to feed the birds, and at lunchtime I have to feed the birds. I can't eat my food without that. This is the contrast between how our society thinks and how our modern mind thinks. One tries to bring the birds in, other tries to scare the bird out. That is the contrast. And I am bringing from my own campus so that nobody can say I am only talking about others. In my own campus, except that in my window there is no place like, no thing like this, because I like birds, so they are allowed to come. This is an example of how we can create new metaphors, new frameworks for innovation ecosystem. This is a village in Meghalaya. Anybody has walked on this bridge? You have been? Margaret village? Right. So you know, this we also walked on this double-decker bridge made of tree roots. Now when this bridge was built, a question must have been asked by the society. We want to do something which is different, something which is sustainable, isn't it? What led to that question? It is the culture. Culture of asking questions to be different is what makes a society creative. If everything is alike, there is no creativity then. So that was the first trigger. Second, now that we want to build a bridge differently, not the one that every village has, how do we do it? We need to have know-how, we need to have technology. That was second. Now that we know the technology, how to pull the roots of ficus species from across the river and tie them and then put the pebbles in between so that they wind around the stones. How do we do it? One person cannot do it. So you need a group action, you need institutions. So technology is like word, institutions are like grammar, culture is like thesaurus. We need all the three for sustainable ecosystem. We need to create technologies. In your labs you create technologies, but you also need institutions, rules, values. and you need culture which stays. And please appreciate, it is not just technology, doesn't mean only physical or engineering technology. When you document innovations in education, technology can help them spread. So technology can also be used to spread innovations in other fields. In linguistics, you might say, sir, how can a linguist be innovator? There is a very famous quote which I often use: language shapes the habit of thought. Language shapes the habit of thought. And I will give you an example. Many of you have heard the phrase BOP, bottom of the pyramid. Have you? Very famous for those who are in social sciences, a popular term. What does it imply? There is a fortune. That means large corporations should sell things to poor people and get their purchasing power, share of their purchasing power as a income. What does it focus on? It focuses on economic poverty, but doesn't focus on the resources in which poor people are rich, that is their knowledge, values, creativity. So language, the kind of words we use, distracts our attention away from the pyramids in which they are at the top, because we say BOP, bottom of the pyramid, we are not saying tip of the pyramid, we are not saying top of the pyramid. That is the problem with language. Language distracts our attention. Language can draw our attention to the concept that is important, it can also distract our attention away. So you can have very creative ways in which language can be analyzed, and in linguistic systems can create a mindset which will be open and absorb ideas and share ideas. Same language can also close our minds. This is a very interesting example. I never get tired of telling this example. These are beautiful terracotta horses lying under a tree. In West Bengal, we were walking in Purulia. So we asked the potters, why did you keep such beautiful terracotta horses? They said, sir, by the time they knew that I am a professor, sir, Professor Saab, you have done a mistake. I said, what happened? We have not kept the most beautiful one, we have kept the best one. Why did you keep the best one? So that when our children walk by this street, they know what the current standard of the best is, they must do better. Open source standards of excellence. Can you imagine this country? What a great power that it has. No textbook will have this. I just walked through the corridors of some of the institutions, here and elsewhere. I would have liked the standards of accuracy or different kinds of outstanding results that different labs or schools have achieved. So when children walk to the kitchen or come from the restaurant, they must be confronted with these outstanding standards achieved by somebody in the lab or somebody in the department, so that they are propelled to think of, my God, I have to do better than this. I have to publish in a journal better than that. I have to diffuse my results much more widely than this person has done it, isn't it? So that will provoke us to do better than what others have done. This is what this community was doing. Amazing quality. This is a tree which didn't know that it was not supposed to branch. It did by mistake. The moment it did it, it realized, my God, I have done a mistake, so it made it into a parallel stem. As I am talking to you, many cells in my body are going through mutation. Thankfully, these are not heritable mutation, so I can continue to talk. These are not cancerous cells. My body has an ability to repair and heal those cells, either reject them or repair them. This is called autopoiesis. Autopoiesis model of innovation is where our product and services will improve in the hands of users as they are used. They will become better, smarter and more efficient. Get the point? I once came across a blacksmith in Kutch who had made knives. As you use them, they used to get sharper. You didn't have to sharpen them. They didn't get blunt because of the temper they had. The more you use them, their edge became sharper. That means the device becomes smarter, better, more efficient. If we can have such kind of solution, such kind of innovation, would be great. This is the example of, I will not take too many examples, this is a very interesting example of how we can learn from innovations, different levels. There was a windmill designed in Assam by Mehtar Hussain and Mushtaq Ahmed, about 5,000 rupees. We brought it to Gujarat for salt workers. It became 65,000 rupees. Earlier it was bamboo, now it is iron. There were two questions that these brothers asked which we don't ask, these scholars and scientists. The first question they asked, they had designed this to pump water with a hand pump to irrigate a small paddy field. So first question they asked, does it matter whether I irrigate my paddy field, the small paddy field that he had, in 4 hours or 40 hours? What would be the answer? It does not matter. In fact, slower irrigation is better, less leaching of nutrients, right. Second question, does it matter because hand pump is a single valve? Does it matter whether water comes smoothly or in spurts? Does not matter. So, no gearbox, cost came down, gearbox is more difficult to maintain, costly component, frugal innovation was born. But the heuristics underlying that can apply to a chemical plant or to another engineering project. What are the heuristics? Maximizing output per unit of time is not always good. In some cases, slower irrigation is better than faster irrigation. That is how drip irrigation has been developed. But mind says, our intuitive feeling is always try to maximize output per unit of time. So, I use 12 horsepower engine, irrigate my field in 4 hours, and then I will go back and see the television. But what is the point? I did not need that power. I have lost more of my nutrients. It did not serve any purpose. So, less energy use, less energy intensive solutions can be slower, but more sustainable many times. Counterintuitive insight, a smoother flow is not always better than irregular flow. Now, these are counterintuitive insights. So, we can learn from innovations at different levels. These are the 4 levels: artifactual, metaphorical, heuristic, and gestalt. Gestalt was that bridge, technology, institution, culture, all of them together, that is gestalt, big picture, the whole arrangement of institutional factors. The heuristic is the thumb rule that I just shared. The metaphorical, for example, lotus leaf has led to self cleaning surfaces in physics, hydrophobic surfaces which repel the water. Many students have developed those materials. That is metaphorical. Artifactual, same thing to same thing. So, one can learn from the same idea at different levels of abstraction. Higher the level of abstraction, greater is the cross domain application. The principles can be applied much wider. The ecosystem can be made for many different kinds of innovations. So, it can be very useful to think that in that way. This is an example of how different kinds of innovations are emerging. I have already talked about the clubs. You remember this scooter, somewhere you saw that? 3 Idiots. So, when this film was being designed, we had a long chat with Raju and Vinod Chopra about which innovations to be used. There were 2 major innovations that you might remember. One was using cycle for shearing the sheep. That was by Muhammad Idris from Meerut, and this was by Sheikh Jahangir, when the heroine of the film comes on that scooter, floor grinding machine. So, this is a very interesting example from Arku Valley. We Brigadier had organized the Shodh Yatra. We all walked in Arku Valley. We came across a lady whose name was Jyoti, and she had put this shelf on the stove about 2 feet above. We also have a gas in our kitchen. Do we use the waste heat? We do not. We say there is a crisis of energy, but we do not do anything about that. She was very conscious. So, what would she use this shelf for? She will put the paddy panicles after harvesting crop. She will put the paddy panicles. When the smoke will go through the plants, through these panicles, the rate at which the husk expands, look at the physics of it, the rate at which the husk expands is different from the rate at which the grain expands. Densities are different. So, when she thrashes the heated panicles, she has to use much less energy. The waste heat has been used to reduce her drudgery. Isn't it a great example? What will she teach? What will we teach her about energy conservation? She can teach us something. No scientific lab has produced this solution of recognizing differential rate of expansion of husk and the grain, and therefore using it as for much low energy threshing. Look at this, even smarter than this. 1, 2, 3, and there is a grain bag here. 4 levels, shelves at 4 different heights. This is for curing wood. Wood becomes stronger when heated. This is for drying fuel wood in Meghalaya, Cherrapunji, lot of rain. This is for drying meat or vegetable or cheese, for storing it and then storing the grains. 4 levels of heat. Now, the beauty is, the conceptual point is that heat, the temperature difference can be harnessed for unique functional advantage. Where you need low temperature, do not need to have high temperature heat or source of energy and then reduce it. That is what we do of the time. if we don't use the fragmented nature of heat, the ladder that they have built for temperature. So there are some very interesting conceptual issues that we can learn from grassroots innovations. We should not think of only and they can generate frugality. Obviously, when you use energy efficiently, you save cost, you generate more output. So that's very useful. Lot of innovations. This is Malaysian famous. How many of you know about Malaysian? Apart from Ganesham, of course, you two of you know, 3. I wish you invite him sometime. Sir, unko invite kariye kabhi. This man, his mother was doing this ASU system 9,000 times for one sari. She could do only twice, 2 saris worth of work, 18,000 times. One day she told Malaysian, beta mera sir mein haath mein bahut dard hota hai, tu kuch aur kaam kar le. Malaysian said, I don't know any other work. She said, it pains now, I am not able to do much. And that day his journey began for experimentation. It took him 10 years of research, about 15-20 lakh of loan. He ran away from the village, came to Hyderabad city because debtors would not let him live at peace there. While going through the market shop, one day he identified the mechanism which will make this machine possible, and he learnt electronics, he learnt engineering, he learnt mechanical engineering and all of that, and textile engineering, and designed this machine. Just 10th. And today this ASU system can be done in about an hour or 2 what would require 8 hours. 700 brigadeer has been sold. 746 machines have been sold in 15,000 rupees each. Now I am sure if you people will apply your mind, you might even make it more efficient. Maybe, I don't know. Kavita was telling me that she has designed, her students have designed a small device by which after ASU they can put the lines for the color marking. It's great value addition. So the quality of dyeing and tying will become better for Pochampalli sari. This is for Pochampalli sari. Now a tradition, hundreds of years old tradition can absorb innovation, provided students of Central University Hyderabad and nearby institutions apply their mind, take it as their problem, not her problem, not Malaysia's problem, as our problem, and then try to find solution. Society can change. So I will not go through other examples. This is one example of child, class 1, youngest child who got an award, Chris Anand from Tamil Nadu, class 1. Can you imagine a student of class 1 getting an award from Dr. Kalam? What did he do? He had those shoes which make sound, chun chun. His father was doing vacuum cleaning. He said, father, why do my shoes make sound? He asked. Father said, there is a whistle. Oh, whistle, that means air must be going out, because he knew how to blow the whistle. Father said, yes. Air must be coming in, because he knew how to blow the whistle. Father said, yes. Then why can't my shoes become vacuum cleaner? Earlier his mother will crib, come, you are better the ground. Now she says, Chris, please walk here for a while. Class 1, he observed, analyzed, assimilated and applied. What Chaya did at 7 years, 7th class, he did it in 5 years, class 1. We have kids like this. Invite them, locate them, go to municipal school, go to government school, organize an idea competition, encourage the children. Send their ideas to us. We will take them to next level, and some of them will become the scholar in residence in Rashtrapati Bhavan, I can assure you. And that's the greatest honor this country can give to anybody in our society. So there are an advantage of this kind. This is very interesting. Many of you are not sitting properly, so you will have pain in the back, as I have. Sir, you are sitting a little tilted on one side, so that will cause, there is causing a strain on your back. I have also bad habit. I am also having bad habit. I am not blaming you. I also don't sit properly. So these kids said that if you don't sit properly, on the screen there is a sensor, it will sense your posture, you are not proper, the screen will go blank, message will come, sit properly, otherwise I will not let you work. Great. Coercion. But these kids are very concerned, they know that these elderly people don't learn otherwise. This is that walker that I was mentioning, the adjustable leg washer. This is the girl, this is the company which licensed the technology. We have a portal now which has Techpedia, which has more than 200,000 ideas and innovation, techpedia.srishti.org, many solutions, different kind. And for agriculture we do show yatras, as I mentioned, different cultural creativity we document, beautiful artwork. We also organize food festival, traditional food festival in our campus, in IIM campus. Last year 54,000 people came during December 20th, 21st, 22nd. in our campus, organic, by, there is a database, common property innovation database, there is a database of Honeybee, open source, different kinds of capital. This is the triangle which we were discussing today, how to set up a company or a society at Central Universities so that this triangle can be made possible. You have an idea, you have an innovation, somebody needs to invest, somebody needs to take it to market. You may not be the best person to take it to market, you may not like to become an entrepreneur, you want to continue doing research, which is fine. We need good researchers. We don't want every researcher to become an entrepreneur, that is not possible and that is not desirable either. So, how do we reduce the transaction cost of the three vectors and bring them together? That is a challenge and we can do that. We have also developed the concept of micro venture finance, not just microfinance. When you design this company, I will suggest keep this in mind. The incubator is the old model where you have known domain, known platform, you can tweak the solution. When both are unknown, we need a sanctuary model. The difference between incubation and sanctuary model is, in incubation chaos is outside, order is inside. In sanctuary, chaos is inside, order is outside. Give all the freedom to students, please. No rules, regulations, simple, start work, finish. No requirement to fill up forms, don't care too much about IP. If students want to keep all of it, please let them keep it. They want to share it, make it open source, let them do it. Faculty should be as generous as it can be. I will appeal to all the faculty members. Then this becomes a sanctuary. Rules are evolving as systems interact with each other. We don't have to create too many rules about eligibility, about who will have what rights. Too many of those things have not mentored or created environment good for cultivating creativity. We should move away from that. We should go to very liberal, generous, trust based environment. A sanctuary model is where people animals devise their own rules. Different kinds of incentives, material, non-material, collective, individual. We need a portfolio of incentives. Many of us in my class, I do this exercise, I ask them to rank different incentives. Initially they will say material, individual will be the most popular. By the time they have listed all the incentives, they shift their attention to material, non-material, collective or non-material, individual. Recognition, respect, appreciation is much more valuable than money and different rewards. So, I mean, as a best university didn't get, I think they would cost for 1 lakh rupees or something. There was an amount, something very small amount. Doesn't matter actually. You can't even give 1 cup of tea to the entire university in 1 lakh rupees. 5,000 students can't get a cup of tea. That amount is not relevant at all. It doesn't matter. Even if they had not given money, I wouldn't have cared. But the citation is important. Darbar Hall mein ab jo honor mila, that was important. There are products that we have developed by pooling the knowledge of different communities. They have gone to the companies. We have also sold product in different parts of the world. G to G model, grassroots to global. From more than 62 countries, we got queries. We can change the world. I mean, grassroots innovations can change the world if we could work with them. Different kinds of innovations. So let me just close by saying these are the scholars of last year. Tanith was from Tamil Nadu. SRM, Avinash from Jawaharlal Center for Advanced Studies, Dharamveer, Dhonseji. So let me close by saying creativity counts, knowledge matters, innovations transform, and incentives inspire, but not just material incentive, also non-material incentive, and not just individual incentive, but also collective incentive. Incentive as a group, incentive as a body, incentive as a department, incentive as a community. They are no less important than me and myself, incentives to me. So I wish you all a great time ahead, and with your new center that you are setting up for innovation, the club that you are setting up, and I hope next year when we have the Festival of Innovation, there will be some outstanding news about not only searching but also spreading, not only celebrating but also sensing the unmet needs of society which you would have to then address. Thank you so much.